It started in the gleaming halls of Capitol Hill, under the burning lights of a live televised hearing. The committee had been convened to discuss a controversial tech surveillance bill, one that had drawn national attention for its potential to radically expand the federal government's powers of monitoring. The room buzzed with tension as Barron Trump, now 23 and freshly elected as the youngest congressman in U.S. history, took his seat with a quiet but sharp presence. Flanked by aides in tailored suits and shadowed by legacy, his confidence walked in before he did. Across the aisle sat Representative Jasmine Crockett, fiery and unshakable, her career forged in grassroots activism and sharpened by years of unapologetic confrontation with power. Cameras rolled as the hearing began, and with the world watching, Barron made his move. With all due respect, Representative Crockett, he began, leaning forward with a controlled smirk. Perhaps your opposition to this bill stems from a misunderstanding of basic constitutional frameworks. Something that, frankly, many of your recent comments suggest. There was a pause, sharp, surgical. The air thickened. Jasmine slowly raised her eyes to him, her smile calm but electric. Congressman Trump, she replied. You must be confusing me with someone who's intimidated by rehearsed arrogance. I assure you, I'm not. The committee chair tried to intervene, murmuring about decorum, but the floor was already on fire. Let's be clear, Barron continued, his tone condescendingly measured. This bill protects Americans. But when grandstanding replaces governance, the American people suffer. I'm not here for theatrical monologues and identity politics. There it was, the spark he'd struck hoping for flame. The crowd behind the cameras bristled. But Crockett didn't flinch. She sat up straighter, voice tightening with each word like a coiled spring. Let me help you understand something, Congressman. I've read every word of this bill, twice. And unlike you, I don't carry my last name like a crown. I built my career without gold elevators and paparazzi. What you call identity politics, I call representing constituents who've been systemically ignored by politicians who look like you, talk like you, and think they can talk down to women like me. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Barron blinked hard, caught between the spotlight and his own unraveling script. He tried to interject, but she steamrolled on. If your argument depends on insulting my intelligence, then you've already lost, Congressman. The cameras never blinked. Twitter exploded in real time. Hashtags like Pay Crockett Claps Back and Hway Barron Begging began to trend before the hearing even adjourned. But the tension inside the room climbed another level as Barron, visibly rattled now, attempted a comeback. With all due respect, Representative, I'm not my father. I came here to bring a new kind of conservatism, fact-driven, youth-led, and focused on solutions. Jasmine leaned in then, her gaze unwavering. Then act like it, she said. Stop weaponizing your youth and privilege like it's a credential. Real leadership requires more than legacy. It requires accountability, humility, and the guts to be questioned, especially by someone who doesn't look like your reflection. A silence fell. Even the committee chair sat stunned, unsure how to reel the moment back. Barron read, faced but trying to hold composure, looked around for support, but his fellow party members remained silent, watching as the power dynamic shifted palpably. Congressman Trump, Crockett added, voice now low but cutting, you came in here trying to lecture me. Instead, you just exposed yourself. On live television, he swallowed hard, lips parting to speak, but no words came. The nation watched as one of its most recognizable names sat speechless before a woman whose resolve had just made history. Then came the final twist, one no one had predicted. As the session closed, the committee chair offered closing remarks, but Jasmine requested the final word. It was granted. I want to leave this room with a message, she said, standing. To every young woman who's ever been dismissed, interrupted, belittled, or told to wait her turn. Don't. Show up. Speak loud. And when they try to reduce you, remember they fear what they can't control. A standing ovation erupted from the public gallery. Even some across the aisle stood, not out of agreement, but out of awe. As Barron tried to leave discreetly, a hot mic picked up his whisper to an aide. Tell her I'm sorry. I didn't expect that. But Jasmine, already halfway down the chamber steps, didn't look back. She didn't need to. Her voice had done the walking, the talking, and the silencing. That night, her words echoed in millions of homes, as clips of the confrontation replayed across every major network. Barron Trump had entered that room expecting to dominate the narrative. He left it a cautionary tale. Here Part 2 continued from Barron Trump tries to humiliate Jasmine Crockett. Her response left him BG-jined on live TVA. The fallout came swiftly. Within hours, clips from the hearing went viral across every major platform, with over 20 million views before sunrise. Morning shows couldn't get enough of it. Political analysts dissected every syllable, every glare, every beat of silence like it was a historic debate rather than a brutal humiliation. Cable pundits leaned into their corners, the right-wing machine spun it as an ambush, a coordinated media takedown of a young conservative trying to lead, while progressive outlets hailed Jasmine Crockett as a symbol of no-nonsense resistance. But beneath the headlines, a deeper war was brewing. Barron Trump had inherited more than a name. He had inherited enemies, donors, strategists, and expectations, and none of them were pleased. In a tense, closed-door meeting that afternoon, Barron sat across from two senior geo-power brokers who had helped engineer his rise. "You need to fix this," one of them said flatly, pushing a glossy tabloid across the table. "You're not a college debater anymore. You're the face of our future. That means control the narrative, not get wrecked on C-SPAN." Barron sat in silence for a moment, the weight of his father's legacy pressing down like an iron hand on his shoulder. "She blindsided me," he muttered. "I didn't expect her to come at me like that. That wasn't debate, it was personal." The elder strategist narrowed his eyes. "It was personal. That's politics, son. And you walked in with the wrong weapon. You tried to finesse a knife fight with a paper speech. Next time, bring steel." But Barron wasn't ready to fold. That night, he took to X, a formerly Twitter, and posted a composed, yet loaded message. "Passion should never replace precision. Respect to my colleague Jasmine for justice for her convictions. We just fundamentally disagree on what leadership means." It was intended as a peace offering, veiled in shade. But Crockett wasted no time replying, "Leadership means not being rattled when the truth shows up. Especially in heels." Over 400 Zalozan likes later, she had won the second round without even breaking stride. Behind the scenes, Barron's aides panicked. "Every reply is a meme," one groaned. "And every meme makes him look smaller." They urged him to lay low. But Barron was a Trump. Laying low wasn't in the blood. 3 days later, Barron demanded a second chance, an exclusive live interview on 60 Minutes, a high-stakes political reset. The network agreed, sensing gold. What he didn't expect was that Jasmine Crockett had also been invited to appear in the second half of the episode for balance. The interviewer was a seasoned veteran, and she didn't waste time. "Congressman Trump," she began, "you've been criticized for appearing unprepared and condescending during the committee hearing with Rep. Crockett. How do you respond?" Barron adjusted his blazer, eyes steady but voice taut. "I underestimated her delivery, yes. But the core disagreement was about policy, not personality. My intention was never to belittle. It was to challenge. Isn't that what we're elected to do?" When Jasmine joined the segment, the tension returned like electricity in wet air. "Challenge is one thing," she said, coolly, "but when you come for someone's intellect rather than their argument, it's not challenge, it's condescension, and voters can see the difference." Barron tried to laugh it off, but the host cut in. "Congressman, do you regret how you handled the hearing?" Silence. "Then yes," he said, voice thin. "I let my ego drive the moment. It was a flash of humility, but it came too late. And then came the twist, sharp and decisive." At the end of the interview, the host posed a surprise question to both guests. "If you had to endorse one trait in the other, what would it be?" Jasmine smiled. "He's media savvy," she said. "Knows how to navigate headlines, even if he crashes into them." The audience laughed softly. Then the host turned to Barron. He hesitated, then finally looked at her. "She's fearless," he said. "And I envy that." It was honest, and it stung. Because in that moment, Barron Trump wasn't the golden boy of a political dynasty. He was a young man drowning in public legacy, searching for a voice that wasn't just inherited. Jasmine Crockett stood up, shook his hand without fanfare, and walked off set before the credits rolled, her heels echoing louder than applause. Barron remained seated, eyes lowered, not humiliated but changed, in silence. And somewhere deep in the noise of America's endless political circus, the quiet reshuffling of power had already begun.